Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
And listeners, welcome back to the Farm for Profit Podcast. You got Tanner here.
Corey's here.
And David's here.
Wow, I think for once I was one of the louder ones. We're going to have to get, when you're in studio, you can kind of control the volume.
Yeah.
Control the input. But maybe I just started off a little bit too excited for this Farm for Fun episode.
Well, it is Friday. That's when we should be recording it. That's is
right.
Like 9 in the morning, though. So
it is.
We're drinking coffee.
Coffee,
here.
not other good
yeah,
stuff.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's good. We had a great Farm Progress show. We had a great Husker Harvest Days. We got to dive here into the studio to get to meet a good, hopefully, new friend of ours. I think it'll be great.
Hopefully.
You listeners are friends of ours, and we like when you send us information. So farmforprofitllc@gmail.com. Hit us up in our DMs all over the place, and leave us a review. I don't care what you type in the review. I just want 5 stars.
I'm starting to care what you type.
Oh, you do?
I'm starting to care what you type. We'll get into that during the show.
Okay. We do. But share this with your friend. If you're going through harvest this fall and you really enjoy this episode or other ones, please pass those along. We appreciate all of that.
This will be a nice break between Farm Progress and Husker, because I know our content gets really long. We do a lot of the content at the shows, but we're back in studio to break it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that'll be nice, a little bit refreshing.
Absolutely. Well, do you want to introduce our guest today?
Yeah. I need to trim my mustache. Do you ever get a mustache hair that goes up into your nose?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been looks like I'm one of them guys that just shoving stuff up my nose.
Sometimes you haven't maintained the nose, and sometimes those hairs will turn into your mustache.
Just bothering the crap out of me. Okay. I'm a professional. We'll get this done.
Oh, that's funny.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Today on the Farm for Fun show, we are back in studio in between Farm Progress and Husker Harvest Days. We head up to Iowa's Hat. Is that a thing, Tanner? The state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
To meet up with a third-generation farmer that is out to try to do more with less to hopefully preserve his family's farm legacy. A fellow strip tiller, this man farms corn, soybeans, small grains, hay, cattle with his uncles and brother. Please welcome from Laverne, Minnesota, Mr. Shawn Feikema.
Woo-wee.
Thank you, guys.
I should have asked. Did I say that right? Is it Feikema?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
you did. You're
Okay.
one of the few.
Good.
Mostly it's Feikema or some crazy thing like that. So,
Well,
you nailed it.
I bet there were no fecal jokes in high school.
I bet there was none.
Remember the ages of telecallers or what was the telemarketers?
Yes.
They'd call the house, and if they got your last name wrong, Mom would just hang up.
Yep.
That's how it was. That's how it was at my place, anyway.
I'm pretty sure the first pickup that I bought came from Laverne, Minnesota, a Ford dealership up there.
Really?
Herman Motors.
Just rusted out or what?
No, it was Black Betty. It was black, had chrome rocker panels, dual exhaust.
He saw the TikTok I sent you guys last night about the crappy truck and the girls like that,
All right. Before we get into you, what was your first vehicle, Shawn?
It was I can't remember the year, but it was a Grand Am, Pontiac Grand Am.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you ready to power through your harvest? Meet the Maya Cornheads. They're designed for maximum efficiency and unmatched durability in the toughest of conditions.
With precision engineering and advanced features, Maya Cornheads ensures every kernel counts, giving you the performance and reliability that you need. Get more from your harvest with equipment built to last.
Reach out to your local Maya Cornheads dealer or visit mayacornheads.com to find your perfect match today. Maya Cornheads, harvest with confidence.
I had a 92 or 3 Buick LeSabre, but that was what my parents had given me to drive to school.
Yeah.
The old family car with 175,000, 200,000 miles, whatever.
Yeah.
But the first pickup or first vehicle that I bought myself was a 1999 Chevy 1500.
I had an old Danger Ranger.
Danger Ranger.
Yeah. with
Ford
stick.
effing Ranger?
Yeah, Ford effing Ranger. Uh-huh. Blue in color. Oh, yeah. $800.
Ford from the beginning. Huh?
I had a Ford from the beginning, yep. I've been through all the
That was
brands,
a chick
though.
magnet, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. Tell you what.
Yeah, my first one was a dad's old F-250, regular cab. And then I had a Grand Am, but the first one that I bought was that F-150 from Laverne.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, normally we don't get off the rails that early, but Shawn, the
kidding?
show is for
Kind of
you.
do.
Oh,
I gave a tiny little snippet in my intro. Who is Shawn? What do you do? Well, and who is that?
that was my dog. He was sitting nicely, but somebody apparently has walked in the office in the conference room over there. So
that's all right.
he doesn't like it when somebody else shows up.
It's
So
on point. On
I thought
point.
he'd lay there quietly. Hopefully he will from now on.
Like
so,
a yellow lab?
yes,
What's his name?
Max.
Max.
Hey, our dog's named Max too.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're just connected from the beginning, Shawn.
Yeah,
Laverne,
right. Exactly.
Max.
All right. Well, who is
Exactly.
Shawn and what do you do?
Okay, so you mentioned a thing. We're third generation on this location. We've been farming for, my family's been farming for as long back as I can recall. But so yeah, it's my brother and I that own it, and our wives. My uncle, I have two uncles that work with us here yet. That that generation, as you guys probably are well aware of, they just can't quit because it's really farming is what they do, and it's what they do. So we got 6 full-time employees. So yeah, we crop farm. We do corn, soybeans, and we do quite a few small grains, strip till, no till. Dabbling a little bit in a lot of different things. We have a feedlot, so we market 5,000 to 6,000 head of fat cattle a year, and we row crop a little over 7,000 acres.
Well,
So
the cattle market's been a lot better than the row crop market for you, probably.
yes, finally, yes,
Yeah?
yes, yep, yeah. It's finally we feel like the cattle market is rewarding us for the years and years of just eking by. It's like, oh well, at least we got some manure out of the deal.
There you go.
That's when you start talking about the value of manure, which it is a big value, but it's like
It is.
yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's a little bit of kind of what we do. Trying to think if there's anything else.
You said wives. Do you
unique
have a couple of them, or
Yeah.
just one?
wives?
Yeah.
I have one official wife.
Okay,
and then,
I was checking.
Yeah, so no, it's my wife and my brother's wife are pretty heavily involved as well. So we do monthly board meetings. We have meet with our CFO, our tax people, and all that stuff. So everybody's in the room and going through financials and all of that stuff too. So that's how everybody gets a little involved and gets a way for us to keep communicating, and so we're all on the same page.
See, they have a CFO.
Yeah.
I need a CFO. Is that a your employee CFO, or do you have like a fractional CFO, or
Fractional. Yep. We we hire their firm to do all of our tax stuff, and then they also offer CFO service. So he does it for a few other operations, and not necessarily all ag. Most of them somehow related to ag, I think, but I don't know all of the other operations he does it for. But
do you just
So,
love, do you just love having that?
yes, absolutely. I would never ever if I when I went to a 2-year college, Bridgewater College in Wilmer. Came back to the farm thinking, farming was, I'm going to haul manure, I'm going to combine, and I'm going to plant. And it didn't take me long into it to realize that, there was more to farming than just pulling planters. And, it was a business, right? And
Yep.
and my dad and my uncle already had the operation at a sizable, spot. I think they had 2,500 head of cattle on feed and stuff like that. But hog business, different things like that. But kind of started realizing I needed to focus on some business stuff, and ended up going to TPAP. I don't know if you guys are familiar with TPAP out of Texas A&M.
Yeah.
It's called the Executive Program for Agricultural Producers. It was started by Danny Kleinfelter, and it's a 1-week, it's a 2-year program. You go there for a week of intense business stuff, and I went down there the first year, decided it was something neat, and kind of, I guess, opened my eyes to the agriculture business world. And so that's when I went, you know what? I don't have the brains needed to run my operation where it needs to be from the financial perspective. So, and that all worked together with us going through our transition from one generation to the next. And that's how we kind of ended up where we did, just because we started down the transition path. And then as we did that, I'm like, hey, we need somebody who understands financials really, really well and how to set, really set us up well for the future. And so that's kind of how it started. So, that was probably 14, 15 years ago. So, yeah, because I think I went to TPAP in 2006 and 2007. And, kind of just been doing that since then. So,
That's the first I've heard of that.
I've never heard of it either.
And
Yeah.
You've heard of it?
really?
Yeah, and then as a lot of bankers, it was always pitched. They wanted to sell to our customers through us, so they'd always send up marketing flyers and want you to leave a brochure on your bulletin board. But that's probably the only reason I knew of it.
It sounds like someone we should talk to,
Oh yeah,
right? Like that's
Well,
kind of our mission.
Yeah, I don't think Danny Kleinfelter. Don't quote me. Don't quote me on this. I know he had some health issues, so I'm not sure. He's not involved anymore. They've kind of taken it over, but it's like Dick Whitman, several university type people are all involved with it.
Mhm.
I know Mike Bolche from Purdue used to be involved. I'm not sure he is anymore. It's an amazing program when it comes to just dialing in. It doesn't talk about production. It doesn't talk about any of that stuff. It's all about business and managing businesses for the next generation and beyond.
Hell, it sounds like
So-
a mini series.
Yeah.
There's probably enough content.
Yeah, you'd have plenty of content. There's a lot of great people involved with that organization. So,
So you said third generation at this location. Where were you guys before that?
well, so my grandpa actually grew up in Hayward, Iowa. And that's where he was born. So what is now considered Oak Grove State Park in Iowa was their farm. And it's right on the Sioux River there, I believe. And when he left the farm to go out on his own, then he moved to South Dakota, actually, by Renner. That's where he met my grandma. And farmed there for a little while, always just rented the farm. And then his first farm that he purchased was this one here. So he left those other two because he said, I don't want to live. I'm sick of living near a river. I'm tired of flooding. So I'm moving away from a river. So that's what he did.
Huh.
Unfortunately, he found a lot of, rock. So instead of a river, we have rock.
I always find that interesting when farms pick up and move.
Yeah.
Because it seems like such an undertaking to do, no matter whether it's 50 years ago, 100
Yeah.
years ago, now. I mean, it's so much infrastructure, the land, access to land, and it's just like, I don't even know how it would happen.
I've had a couple clients that have said that, and they're like, well, we'd like to move our 2,000 acres to here. Can you find us 2,000 more? I'm like, well, all connecting?
Yeah.
like that. This is not an easy feat to do,
No.
know. But
Right.
they bought it way back when it was, $50 an acre, and so now they're ready to cash out and move somewhere else. But yeah.
I also think of the aspect of moving your community, right? Like usually
Oh,
the farmers are so involved in the community. Maybe it's a good thing. You get to start over, fresh, clean. Maybe.
Well, we
type
talked
of deal.
with Justin about what it was like farming in Ukraine, and he said you had to bring everything with you.
Yeah.
Here we have a sense of community, and what's it like when you don't have that community anymore?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I remember my dad and my uncle talking about too, like every March, just because farmers back then were more likely to rent the entire farm place. He's like, every March you had new people in church with you. Every March there was a parade of farm equipment moving from one place to another because, well, they lost their rented farm here, so they had to find another one, So I agree. I can't hardly imagine what that would be like. But they do
Now-
it all the time, I guess.
If you were in Nebraska and you moved to Iowa, it'd be like going to heaven.
Yeah.
What would it be if you went
Correct.
to Minnesota from Nebraska? For just heaven's hat.
Colder.
Yeah, heaven's hat, yes.
There you go.
Just be a colder heaven.
Yep.
Yeah.
It still wouldn't be Nebraska.
So you guys fight rocks just like I do, huh? Is that
Mhm. And we don't struggle so much with like your field stones as much as we have solid ledge rock, we call it. It's solid granite. So, I mean, we have granite outcroppings that we literally will cover them up because the only way to get them out of the ground is to dynamite them out of the ground. So you either just cover them up with dirt and farm over them so you don't have to go around them, or you dig out what you can, but most of the time you can't. So our ledge is basically from surface to, I don't know how deep it goes. We got a 400 and some foot well, and we never ran out of solid rock.
Oh, man.
So it's solid rock underneath. It's great dirt on top. I mean, it's really great dirt. It takes a lot of tile, but yeah, it's somewhere between 0 and 40 feet. You're gonna hit solid granite rock.
So when you say solid, like it's just one giant rock. It's not like just a bunch of small rocks
No,
together.
no. I'm talking solid. Like we mine it here.
Huh.
We have 2 mines here that mine this granite out of it. It's this red quartzite type rock or whatever you want to call it. So.
And that's mined for like tabletops or kitchen countertops or what?
No, it's actually put in asphalt and a lot of our roads now they crush it, so they'll dynamite it and then crush it, run it through crushers, and they use it for roads, and a lot of it's going into concrete and asphalt now.
Have you guys seen red pavement?
Yeah,
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
probably makes pretty good roads, I would imagine.
It makes awesome road. The only downer is the stuff is so jagged and sharp, it can be a little hard on tires. But it doesn't. We like it because it doesn't have no clay. So therefore, when it rains, our roads are nice and hard, and I can still drive my pickup over it and not make it a muddy, sloppy mess versus regular clay gravel. So
that's interesting. So you said the fields are great if you can have tile in them, but if you've got all this rock, how do you? I bet being a tile installer is absolutely atrocious up there.
It can be, depending where you're at. Because like I said, some places the rock is at the surface and there you aren't tiling. It's just, it is what it is. But most of the ground has got a minimum of probably 6 feet of dirt over the top of it. So, and it might come up in places in your field, but it's still, you can still tile. But yeah, we do our own tiling, and I've completely bent the back framing of a Prairie tile plow mounted on my 9RX. I mean, you hit them, it does not move. So
that doesn't sound like a good day.
No. And if I'm wrong, you don't tile at a very fast speed, so that's still impressive. That crap, I hit that rock and really made a bad day.
Yeah. Yep.
How long have you guys been doing your own tile?
2008, so 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm sure that has paid extreme dividends.
Yep. We always say you're going to pay for tile whether you have it or not. So that's how we look at it. And we're going to start a project. So a lot of times we'll try and tile behind our small grains. So Monday is kind of our go time. We've got a quarter section we're going to try and put, I think it's scheduled to have like 117,000 feet of tile put in it. So.
Wow.
So yeah.
That'll be a project.
Yep, that'll take us a couple days.
So what does your rotation look like? You mentioned the small grains, and I know when I talked to you 2 weeks ago, that's what you guys were doing, was harvesting.
Yep. So our rotation, right now it's typically, I'd call it a corn soybean rotation that we're continuing to try and add more small grains to. So this year we had like 680 or 690 acres of different small grains, whether it was oats, triticale, hybrid rye, cereal rye. I think that covers it.
What is triticale?
It's a cross between
rye
and wheat.
Yep. So it's typically grown, from what I understand, we grow it on seed production. So I have some seed production contracts with Millborn Seeds or Renovo out of Brookings. So that's what we grow it for. But I think the dairies they love that triticale because it elongates. Don't quote me on this, but it elongates and makes for better feed quality, but still gets you the tonnage. Whereas rye, when it elongates and gets its tonnage, it loses its feed quality. So a lot of dairies are putting it in, and then they'll chop it off in late May or something, and then they'll put their silage corn in. That's my understanding. A dairy guy would much better be able to. I just grow it for seed.
The only time we've ever grown it at the feed yard is when we were taking advantage of the government reimbursed you for planting cover crops, but you had to explore a new species.
Oh, yeah.
So we included triticale as a new species, but ultimately it got mowed off in June, baled or chopped. And,
We had an instructor at Iowa State in agronomy that just, he loved triticale. Just loved to talk about it. Lance, I think, was his name. I can't think of his last name, but if any Iowa State grads from the 2005 to 10 era, they would probably
They'd
know
know all
exactly
about it?
who I'm talking about, because I swear that agronomy class was supposed to be about everything, and all we learned about was triticale, something we don't grow in Iowa normally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, we've been running like corn, soybeans, so we do a fair amount of corn on corn. So in my ideal world, I'd probably like to go corn, soy, and then go to a small grain, and then go 2 years corn, back to soybeans. And I like to follow our favorite thing is to follow oats. We're gonna pull away from the rye and the triticales, and we're gonna try and grow more oats, just because we can grow oats really well here. So that's kind of what we're going to concentrate on, and we get a lot better symbiosis or synergies between oats and corn. When we grow corn behind oats, we'll get 20 bushel plus above and beyond what we normally would.
Wow.
So yeah,
And
then
you're
the
not
following
growing-
year,
go ahead.
I said the following after that, we'll pick up a few bushel on the beans as well.
Nice.
So just breaking up that regular corn soy rotation has really helped push some of our yields.
Who are that husband and wife that are opening an oat plant
Oh, yeah.
in
Flags.
Minnesota? Yeah.
Just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep, Landon Plague
What's it?
and his wife. I have not met his wife, or I haven't met them. I just talked to him on the phone yesterday.
Yeah.
I took a picture of their shirt. Was
He's
it like
investing a ton of money
no
into
acres?
that.
30-some million dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that something you're looking to grow for?
Yes, that's what we were on the phone about. Yep. Because it's supposed to be a farmer owned. I think it's called Green Acres.
That's what it is,
Acres
Green Acres.
Seed Co.
Yeah.
Green Acres Seed Co. Out of and they're based out of Latimer, Iowa, but I think the plant is going to go in Albert Lee,
Yes.
Minnesota.
Yep.
And I had not heard anything about it until I was at Strip Till Conference a few weeks ago and ran into some people that were talking about it. So started doing some investigating. But yeah, it's kind of going to be a farmer-owned deal. So you buy shares, kind of like they used to do the ethanol plants, you know. So I don't know. I'm pretty intrigued by it. So
Yeah, what did
we'll
he
do
say?
a little.
$30 million. He says, I'm personally backing it or something because
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
I think they said, I don't know what the oat market is right now, but I think they said they'd guarantee, if you're an investor at a
Yep.
certain level, they'd guarantee you like $6.50 a bushel
Yep.
for 3 years.
$6.50 a bushel for 3 years, and then they'll have a it'll be from the after that. I think I should really not probably say too much because I'm probably going to get it wrong. But if you're interested, you'll just have to
Green
call
Acres.
them. But
Yeah.
Green Acres, yep. But yeah, they'll have some sort of inflationary type scenario that they'll base off of the products coming out of the plant, whether it's the flour or the meal or whatever they're selling. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
are you
don't know,
trying
it's kinda-
to like put a crop after the oats at all, or a cover crop?
So we're putting a cover crop in. Typically, we're putting a cover crop in, and the one that we're probably most interested in going to is probably seeding the oats with clover. So the clover will just hang out underneath the oats until you take the oats off, and then it just kind of greens and it, produces some nitrogen and some of that stuff.
Sounds
but
like great deer
right now we're doing radishes, turnips, vetch. We seed that all in behind our small greens. Done a little bit of work with some local guys who have mother cows. We'll actually lease out our cover crop acres, and they'll graze them through October through Christmas or something like that. We've done that. It works pretty good. But typically, I'm just after getting a cover crop in there to break up some compaction and some of that kind of stuff. So
How long have you been doing the cover crops?
I think we started playing with cover crops 10 years ago on a really small scale, and just have kind of been building. Last year, was it last year? Last year or the year before was where we really took it to where we're going to put it on as many acres as we can find the time to get it put on.
Any of that decision making come from carbon as well, or CI scores or anything?
No. We've been doing it just because we really like what we're seeing in the soil from it.
Okay.
So we're just Yeah, so a lot of our ground is, yes, it's got all this rock underneath, but it is heavy black clay dirt, and so we get compaction really easily, and it's wet. I mean, most of my friends can't stand to listen to me because every time it rains, I bitch about it, and most guys like to have rain here. When it's a drought, we're sitting right where we want to be because that's where our ground shines. So yeah, so we're trying to find ways, hence tiling, and then just trying to get more water infiltration to try and be able to have the soil healthier and not run away. We don't have a lot of slope here, but we have enough. And if it rains 3 to 5 inches, or like this past June when we had 10 inches in 1 week, I don't like seeing that dirt wash away. It drives me insane. So we've been doing a lot of rye after soybeans, and we just seed rye after soybeans, and then after our small grains, we're running these blends. So that's kind of what we're doing. So.
Oh, there goes Dave. He's off. He doesn't even like cover
he's
crops.
trying to sneak.
He's like, yeah, there he goes.
Trying to sneak out of here.
He's like, yeah, I'm done. That's
Hey,
enough
check that
cover crop.
camera. Start it over if it needs to be started over.
So it must have been about the same timing that you started cover crops that you did strip till. Is that
Yes.
the same time?
Yep. So we actually started covers. The very first cover crops I tried were before we went strip till.
Okay.
Because we did a couple of fields, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to go out and till it in the spring, right? What a train wreck that was. That was like I had tilled up a pasture.
Yeah.
And that was not, the greatest idea, but you learn as you go and you figure things out. And now, we plant green. Almost all our corn is planted green,
Wow.
which has worked fairly well up until this year. This year it didn't work. I was not super happy. I shouldn't say it didn't work. It just, my corn looked like crap because we're in southern Minnesota. We're not supposed to be planting in 3 foot tall rye. That we don't have the equipment for that. And just because of the way the weather was, when the rye came out of dormancy the 1st of March, it just had so much time to grow. And when we planted the 3rd week of April, it worked great. But then we got, like everybody else, we got all that rain, and we didn't get back in for 2.5, 3 weeks. And by the time we got there, it was 3 feet tall. Some of it was over 4 feet tall. And so that part, I hope I never have to do again. But if I can plant green in foot tall or less, I love it.
So that was my experience in 2016. We tried cover crops in front of beans and in front of corn. Had some flown on, and it was the year that they come out of dormancy, and they were 4 foot tall, and it was rubbing paint off the rock bucket on the 8420. And I tried the tillage thing too, and it's like just coming up in just big clumps because of those roots, and then it's like, well, we tried vertical till, disking, probably ripping, and the best thing we found was that those acres we just no-tilled it, but I had to go really slow, in that. So
you could have bailed it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where am I going to take it? That's the problem is we don't have the cattle around us, so then you have to haul it all somewhere.
Yeah, that's a big deal. People ask me, like, how come you're willing to try all this stuff? I'm like, because if I screw up, I make my brother take it and feed it in the feed yard somehow. Do something with it. We can figure out some way to deal with it. So,
yeah, cattle are. I do think cover crops are the answer if you have. Because it's a feed source of some or roughage at a minimum.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And then all your small grains, even right, like even if you don't hit grade on one of your small grains. Boom.
Goes into feed.
Run
it through the roller mill and feed it. Yep.
So we get people telling us all the time down here in Iowa, you guys quit need to grow, stop growing the monocrops, the corn and soybean rotation, or just corn, whatever. And it's like, we want to grow something else, which is why I'm excited about this Green Acres deal, because they said they'd start pulling some oats down to Des Moines area.
Okay,
But it's like, we just don't have a market for something without putting it on it, finding a rail, or trucking it to, way beyond the cost of what it should be, it works. So, it's nuts.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't, you have the people from the outside. So we get a lot of tour groups that come through and different things. And they're like, well, why don't you try different crops? There's got to be a market, I mean, it's hard to beat corn. Corn and soybeans have the markets. They do because they grow well where we grow them. And so it's hard to find something that can compete with that, which is unfortunate, but it's the reality of the world we live in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how does your strip till process look? Because I'm a strip tiller myself for the last 3 years. It's been
Okay.
rocky, up and down. I
Really?
enjoy
3
it.
years stripping?
3 years stripping. Yep. It's been the first year we had to abandon our strips in the spring, but we got a Soil Warrior. Tried some it's a liquid one, but mainly we've been just making strips and putting anhydrous down with it in the fall.
Okay. Okay.
But I kind of wanted to start incorporating some cover crops, but I haven't got to that point yet.
Okay. Yeah, and we run Soil Warrior as well.
The shank,
so we do all
or the shank or the
nope,
coulters?
Nope, we run the coulters.
Okay.
Yep, we started with a shank one, the N unit or N row unit they called it. We started with that because I was convinced I had to have a 24 row to match up with my 24 row planters, which turned out, the machine worked fine, but we have since then traded for a 16 row coulter machine, which I like for our situation a whole lot better. Number one, the rock. But also I like the strip it makes better. I need a wide, I need a nice 10-inch wide black berm here. And I felt that does it better than that mole knife did. But yeah, we do most our strips in the fall. We put down a little potassium in the strip, maybe like 50, 60 pounds, and that's about it. We do not hardly buy any DAP or MAP or anything because of all the manure. So we have our feedlot manure, and then we have relationships with a bunch of large swine producers. So we pump about 10 to 12 million gallons of swine manure as well.
Wow.
So we don't buy hardly any P&K fertilizer other than a little bit of potassium in some strips here and there. So yeah, we strip in the fall. Mainly we're just making a strip. Other than if we're putting down a little bit of some of our cattle manure acres, we'll VRT them. So we grid sample, and then you know how inconsistent cattle manure can be in a bed pack situation.
Yep. So
we just fill in them holes with a little bit of P&K and just little low spots. But for the most part, we maybe put fertilizer on 10 to 15% of the acres of the field. Just to even it out. And then we just roll in the spring and plant our corn on corn acres. We do freshen if we didn't bale the stalks off of it. So obviously we bale a few acres of corn stalks for bedding and stuff. So we'll have, when we do corn on corn there, we don't bale it. We don't run a freshener strip through or trip. But if it isn't baled off, then we'll freshen that corn on corn strip in the spring.
Are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Our partner, Ag Explorer, is more than just a plant nutrition company. They are your partner in growth. Ag Explorer is family-owned and built on a foundation of education and agronomy that delivers innovative solutions that bring real results to your fields.
Truly the gold standard in plant nutrition and agronomy education, helping farmers maximize their yields while improving their soil health. Are you ready to see the difference that Ag Explorer can make? Join the thousands of farmers who already trust them, because with Ag Explorer, you don't just grow crops, you grow success.
How do you get the corn on corn acres? How do you get the corn stover to flow through in the fall? I've always had problems with that.
Which machine do you have?
On the Soil Warrior with the N row unit.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. No.
Hence the reason I have the coulter machine, because that one don't plug. What we did when we had that machine, so we ran that machine for like 4 years, I think. We chopping corn head, but the biggest problem was always on the end rows when you let that machine down, and you almost have to stop on the end headlands, drop it down, and then go, because there was never the coulter comes out of the ground as you lift that machine before the knife does, and then that knife just acts like a dump rake.
Yep.
So that's some of the things we learned was like literally you stop on the end rows like like you used to do way back in the day with a planter, so you didn't overlap. That's how you had to do it to keep it from plugging.
Yep, I do that, but then even then that's not even foolproof. Right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, all of a sudden you look back and you've got a Volkswagen plugged up underneath that thing, basically, and you're
Well,
dragging it along.
When you got 250, 260 bushels of corn, that's a lot of stover out there, and
That's a lot of stuff.
You're baling it,
Yes, exactly.
And then what do you
So,
do
yeah.
with the big old frickin' beaver hut that you
Right.
made
Yep.
out in the field? You get
Yep.
so pissed.
Yep.
Yeah, you get real pissed. Yep, I hear you.
And it doesn't
So,
clean
yeah,
out the best.
So that's part of the reason we've gone to the Coulter machine as well, because that thing will fly right through that stuff, no problem.
And are you guys pumping your own all that hog manure, or have custom
No.
guys?
Heavens no. We got a custom outfit, Sambolt Tank Services. They do an amazing job. They run all RTK. They're running those big noon trains or whatever.
Yeah.
And they pump all of our manure for us. So they put everything in so all of our swine manure, they take all of our guidance lines, and they have the I don't know if they call them VTIs or whatever bar. So they run 16 row bars.
Wow.
And then they put it right where my strip is, where my strip will be. So they lay the hog manure there. We come back a week later with our soil warrior and freshen it and just make a nice strip out of it, and we plant right on top of the hog manure. So if you want good corn, that's the way to do it. We love that. We love that principle. It works awesome.
You're gonna cost me a lot of money. My dad wants to do that, and we're still that's our only tillage that we're really doing. Full tillage is behind the manure.
Oh, sure.
Now, which does scratch
Yep.
the tillage itch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, right.
But
right. Yep.
yeah, I think they could. I think we could strip behind our manure. I just gotta have to get Kyle on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
I'm amazed. I mean, we were a little concerned about how do you keep. I mean, these things are 17,000 gallon tanks.
Yeah.
And they're trains. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to stay on the strip where I need it very well, but these guys are meticulously fussy. They do an amazing job, and they get my guidance line coordinates, and we give them our field boundaries. They do, they'll just do auto whatever John Deere has, the auto
path.
boundary or whatever,
Yeah.
boundary track, and they get them set up and they let it rip, and we just come back and freshen that right behind it, and it does an awesome job. Works great.
Yep. We're gonna clip that and send it to Kyle, my manure applicator. So
Oh,
this
there
is
you
what
go.
we're doing.
Yep.
He'll be pissed. He'll be pissed. He'll be pissed. So you got all these crops. What? Go ahead.
Before you get into that question, I gotta ask him, Shawn, what's your favorite snack?
My favorite what?
Snack.
Snack.
That's a random.
That's very random.
Cashews.
Cashews. Hey, cashews is one of my favorite snacks too. But I brought in some beef jerky and I brought in some leftover chicken wings, but I didn't bring in any pork today into the studio.
Oh boy, here we go.
I know, Corey, that's probably offensive to you since you raise hogs.
Anything other than beef is offensive.
Oh, there we go.
Is it?
All right, we have something we have to address, and I messed up. I messed up, I will say. So, Shawn, you're coming into this blind. I'm sorry about that, but we have a
That's
review.
okay.
They did leave 5 stars, right?
Yeah, we always like to feature our listener reviews. So we have a record longest review ever left, but it was left under a 5-star rating.
Can you give us the Cliff Notes version?
So I will read this. It starts off extremely emphatic. Guys, I never miss an episode of your podcast.
Thank you.
I love what you do. I do not always agree with sometimes, and
That's probably
sometimes you really piss me off.
That's
is
definitely Dave.
how it starts. During one of our episodes most recently, this is going to probably be a couple months old by the time this episode airs, we talked with Sherry from Steinbauer. And Sherry apologized to Corey for not cooking pork for our lunch. Corey proceeded.
I grow pork. I grow pigs.
He said,
Contract grower.
"That's all right. It doesn't affect me at all. I don't own the pigs." And this listener went into a very thorough answer as to why it does affect Corey.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Are you done?
Do you want me to explain why it
No,
affects
I think we get the gist. I think we get the gist. And yeah, I should not have said that. It does affect me. I meant to say it in a lighthearted fashion to Sherry to not feel bad
So
because
shouldn't feel bad, yeah.
I like eating shrimp and scallops too.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I don't get it directly affected because I get paid the same per space every year. Now,
Right.
I am smart enough to know that if you don't eat pork, I will not have a contract and I will not have the manure from those pigs. So I should be more considerate of my words there, and I'm sorry. Go eat some pork chops. I had some pork ribs last night to make up for it. So
That's right. Yeah, we know that livestock production is what drives the corn and soybean market. Obviously, there's a lot of byproducts that get fed. We fully get that, and he did. It was just Corey's owning up to misspeaking.
So what was his name, or did he say that?
Oh, all the way at the bottom. I go all the way to the bottom, and it was from Purdue '94. So
All
I
right.
assume somebody
Purdue keeping me in
graduated from
check.
Purdue
All right.
in 1994.
Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the 5-star review. I am sorry. I will be better with my words. Everyone, please go eat some pork this weekend, and we'll make up for my mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Well, our local school society just grilled like 40 loins Wednesday night. So,
There
and
you
we
go.
got rid of every single one of them. So we used a whole bunch of pork.
I mean, if anything, we need pork to go up in price because it is so cheap. It's such a
It
value
is.
compared to all the other meat. I mean, I love a good steak, but if you go, I got my freezer full of, I got a whole hog and I got a half a beef, and which is great. Those are both great values. But if you go buy a steak at the store, have you bought one recently? Oh
Nope.
my gosh!
Nope, I can't. I won't do it.
I mean, it's like $20 for just a sirloin.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is crazy.
So-
And that's what what amazes me about the beef market is how is the consumer really, I mean, Tanner, you can probably agree, when you just put it in your freezer because you have it, you don't think about it. You eat beef all the time, but man, when you compare beef to pork or something like that, it's like, man, it is expensive.
Yep.
So,
Man,
No, it
I know.
certainly is. So sorry, I cut
thank you
you
for
off.
throwing that in.
I wanted to. I
We
wanted
needed
to get you fired
we
up.
needed to address it. No, I'm not fired up. I'm not fired up. I feel bad. I feel bad that I said that in passing, and I didn't even think about it.
What I should do is I should go back and cut it out because now everybody that wants to go listen to it, it could just be gone forever.
There you go. There you go. So what I was going to go into was you got all these crops and you're doing all this stuff. And we talk a lot about. We've just been doing this series of combine setting tips from Estes Performance Concaves, and it's crazy to think if you've ever changed combines in a combine. I can't imagine changing combines between all of your different crops, your small grains,
The
to
concaves
beans,
out
or
of
the,
them?
yeah,
Yeah.
the concaves into the combine. Are you doing that? Are you changing your concaves?
nope, never
So-
change them.
All the crops, same concave.
All our crops are in the same concaves. Yep.
So how do you get by doing that?
Well, we're running Estes.
Okay.
We actually are running one Estes. So we've been running Estes concaves for, oh boy, 6-8 years,
Okay.
something like that. And that was part of the reason why we went was because of the different crops we dabbled with. I mean, we dabble with more now than we did then. But back then, as I told some John Deere engineers one time when they were out, they were asking some of these questions, and I said, in my opinion, John Deere with the STS combine built the greatest soybean combine ever. They also made the greatest feed grinder for corn. And so that was really our real reason for switching to Estes. I was so sick of the fines, so sick of the cob in the tank, stuff like that. And so that's what led us down to the path of Estes, which then turned out to be great for all of the other grains we did too, because we didn't have to switch concaves. So we ran down that path for quite a while. And then when I, kind of stuck my foot in my mouth and said what I said to these John Deere engineers, they decided, hey, we can come up with something just as good. So that year, Todd hooked us up with a set of XPR2s, and we put them in a brand new 780. And we said we had the other combine just set up with regular round bars. And the engineers came out and watched us, spent a whole week with us, combining corn. And by the end of the week, they had torn out a whole pile of parts in that one combine. So basically, I ran the Estes machine, and my uncle and the engineers were comparing all week, and they just kept taking parts out, putting different parts in, trying to get it to do the same thing. They did get it there. Ended up with a mostly convex set of concaves in that other machine, and they got it very close. Grain sample wise, I would call them right on par with the Estes. Not quite the capacity I can get out of an Estes. I can get a little more capacity in corn out of the Estes. But both of them, we've been running 2 780s now for 3 or 4 years, one with Condex, one with Estes, and we just continually keep comparing. And so both of them run with never changing a concave. But the Estes, in my opinion, still got an edge on capacity. I have not tried the XPR3s yet, but yeah. So that's kind of where we ended up with the that's kind of the story of how we ended up where we did. So,
and that's the shining point of what I believe the XPR3s are, is you don't have like that. You don't have to put any covers or nothing. Are you putting any covers on?
So we will throw some covers in on some hard, like our trit. Yep. When I combine that trit, the trit was kind of like combining. I don't know if you guys have ever combined spring wheat. Spring wheat is a bear cat to thresh. And so that I did, it threshed a little bit like spring wheat. So I threw covers in on that one. But once we got done with that, I pulled the covers out and I never ran any covers. So, yeah.
I think the moral of the story is like we can do better than OEM, right? The OEM is just they're not that they're bad. They're just meant for a lot of different things, and so.
Well, and the way I look at OEM is, that Deere's got to do what they got to do to make it for the masses, right? They can't customize a combine for everybody's unique situation. And, if you're somebody that, it just depends on your operation. If you're not pushing your combines hard, you can get a good sample out of them. But
Sure.
If you want to get max capacity out of these combines, and for us, we need to keep them combines rolling. I push them things to the point where, the little power meter's right in the red. The beeper should be going off telling you need to slow down.
Yep.
And that's when we just could not keep a decent grain sample in an OEM concave. Yep. And the Estes we can. So
well, I'm going to say we got an S780 as well, and Maya Cornheads asked us to go up and demo their head at Farm Progress Show. And then Estes heard we were doing that. I had XPR2s in it. They said, oh, we'll come throw the XPR3s in if you're going to be demoing it. And I kind of got nervous because I know there's a little break-in period,
Sure.
with them and all that.
Yep.
And always nervous.
He didn't get a little bit nervous. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Corey that nervous before.
Yeah. And we're throwing these things in the day before we take it up there. And then it's going to be the first day of harvest, which is like always never runs smoothly.
Never runs good.
Right?
Nope.
And we go out there, and all these other combines that have different heads on them and different colors, all that, they're stopping in the middle, and like there's grain everywhere on the ground because this we put a really early hybrid in up there, planted early, and then they sprayed it with D-Full twice to get it so they could do demos. So these cobs are real spongy, little kind of crappy little ears, and we're just like cruising through and not having a problem at all. And I'm just like, wow, they got something figured out here, because I know I had a little bit of a break-in period with my twos.
Okay.
So.
Yep, I would agree. And I think that's when we were that week, the John Deere engineers were running with us. That was the one comment they made. Because they had one guy riding with me and one guy in the other machine, and he's like literally, you made 3 passes across the field and the thing was set. I said, yeah, because they're so easy to set compared to, in my opinion, compared to OEM. You're dicking with it all the time on a freaking OEM concave.
Yep.
Like, oh, it's cracking the kernels. Oh, I got a little too much cob. But you just set them Estes and let her rip.
Yep. I will give it to the Deere employees and engineers. We pulled in up there at Farm Progress, and they had already been out pulling off the end rows and all that, and they said, hey, this is the cob size, this is what you should have your rotor speed, this is what you should have your concave set at, your sieves, all that. And I'm like, why are you telling us this? Like, we have a different color head on the front of the combine. They're like, we want all the John Deere combines to look good.
I was just going to say, you're
you know?
still running a green combine.
Yep. So, like, they were very helpful, but, like, their settings of what they told us to do, they kept coming over during the demos and were like, hey, you need to do this. That's what we're running. And it's like, well, no, it's different concaves in here. And they're like, oh, well, it looked good. It looks good. So,
Yep.
They were trying to be helpful.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I don't want to bash John Deere because John Deere's been great to us, and
Well,
we
you
love
got a
working
very
with
nice
them.
John Deere gun safe behind you, so I mean,
Wish it had my guns in it. Fortunately, it's just paperwork.
Oh, no.
The one that's not on camera is the one that has all the guns in
okay.
it.
That's great.
That's the next thing we need to add in studio is a gun safe.
Yeah. What are you gonna store in that?
Outlines.
Outlines. Oh, we could keep all of our SD cards.
That's right.
It could start our what are they? It's the
Our archive.
archives of Farm for Profit. Yep, there you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah.
There's too many other people that use this studio for me to feel comfortable for our guns to be in there.
Yeah, that's probably
Oh.
true. That's probably true.
Yeah.
So what's next? What are you guys getting ready for now?
Well, right now guys are picking up bales and getting straw moved off the fields and seeding some cover crop. And Monday we're getting ready to start tiling. I think next week I got 2 Delta Airlines tour groups coming in, so waiting for that. So
Really? From
Yeah.
where?
they come in from Atlanta, from headquarters, or they come from Minneapolis, wherever it's their corporate customer, so it has to do with SAF,
Yep.
sustainable aviation fuel. It's kind of going down that. So we kind of got involved with that a couple years ago through GEVO. So GEVO is a company looking to build a plant in Lake Preston, South Dakota, to produce sustainable aviation fuel. They bought our old farmer-owned ethanol plant several years ago for their testing. It was an old ethanol plant that had kind of outlived its efficiency, but it made a great test site for them. So that plant is here in Laverne, and got to know them pretty well. And because we're strip till and all that stuff, got hooked up with them. So we did some promotional marketing with them. And then next thing I know, we ended up doing a whole documentary that kind of came out of that. So we got a documentary that we did on strip till and different things. And then, so they bring out their corporate customers. So we've had Google, Nike, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I don't know. We've had probably 300 to 300 people come through here. Most of them who've never been on a farm, and we just show them what farming is and how sustainable aviation fuel would be made. How it would be made from corn and the whole cycle. So we got 2 groups coming. Next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I think. So getting ready for that.
Because the only plant right now making SAF is in Georgia.
Yes.
Yep. And that makes you kind of an influencer. You're there talking to the big wigs. Now, do they bring like gift baskets? So when Nike shows up, you get a new pair of shoes.
No,
and when-
unfortunately, I have gotten no gift baskets. It would be nice, but no.
It's
So-
a different group of people, isn't it? Because we went to a True Terra field day in Wisconsin last year, and we're like, oh yeah, field day. That's right up our alley. No, it's a field day for people coming to see how carbon credits and things like that work. And so it was Nike and General Mills and a bunch of different companies like that. And so
Yep.
it was just a cool experience.
It's fun. I enjoy telling people about agriculture. I mean, that's why we ended up doing our, the documentary we did and different things. It's like, we just want people to understand what's going on in agriculture. We're the first generation that really has had to deal with teaching people about where their food comes from, because in the past, we didn't have this many people living in urban areas. Everybody knew about agriculture. Now nobody does. So that's kind of I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun. People just, I had one lady, I'll never forget, she stood at the end of our driveway and she says, I can't believe people live like this. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, I never imagined that there's just this much open space and that this is how you
Yeah.
live.
You're
I'm
just
like,
out here running
yeah.
feral and feeding cows
Yeah.
and growing stuff. Like,
Yep. So,
what's the documentary called?
From the Heartland,
And where can you find that?
YouTube.
I feel like I've
So-
seen
or-
this.
It's From the Heartland. It's on YouTube, and it's on any Delta airline in-flight movie entertainment.
That's where I think I watched
I think
it.
we have heard that. Yeah. That's cool. Really cool.
I didn't know we were interviewing a movie star.
I wouldn't push it that far, but
We're going to. It's going to
Do
be
you
in
have
the
any-
title. Shawn, however you spell his last name, Finkel,
Feikema.
movie star.
Just remember, it's I or E before or I. Well, how do they say it? It's I before E, except after C and in Feikema.
And a Feikema. Shawn Hollywood Feikema. There we go.
I love it.
Yeah. So did you start your own YouTube channel or anything like that? Now that since
Yeah,
you're
we do.
influencer?
We do have our own YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm not Zach Johnson. I don't carry a camera around everywhere I go or anything like that. That's just not my thing. But, and that's a lot of where all of this started was so like 2008, 2009, after TPAP, I got to be good friends with several guys from all over the country. And we decided that we were going to keep getting together. And so we got together in Las Vegas with our wives. And it turns out our wives all get along great. And so, but we said, hey, take some pictures or something of your farm so we can all, share a little video or a little presentation of your farm. So we put this video together, and then we're like, God, I bet you we have, a lot of landowners who'd like to see this type of thing. So since 2008, we've been building a video every year of a recap of the season that we send out. So we got to a point where we were sending out like 100 and some DVDs. And then, of course, when YouTube came out, we went down that path. So I think we got all the way back to like 2012 on YouTube, our YouTube channel right now. But yeah, we still put together a film every year doing that, or a film, but a video of kind of the recap of the season and send that out. So that's kind of how all of this started. People started seeing that, and then it just blew up from there.
Man, that's pretty cool. What's the channel's name?
It's just under Feikema Farms.
Okay. Do you do much for any other social medias?
No, I'm actually I don't do social media at all. It's just not my thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have Facebook. I do have a little Snapchat, but I don't take videos of myself very often. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
So how do we reach more farmers that are like you and don't have social media?
I need to be on Delta Airlines podcast list, I guess.
I don't know.
Because how do you learn about new things? You learn about them from other people?
I just research it, yeah. So, all of a sudden I'll hear about Farm for Profit podcast, right? So I'll look at it and, then that's where I start researching it. So I start watching it online if I need to. I don't know. I guess that's how, yeah, I don't know. I'm really old school. I tell my wife all the time, I'm really like 2 generations wrong. Like I should be 80, not 45. But
I mean, you're old school social media wise, but you're kind of new school.
Everything else,
right? Like farming.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
You're right. I do. I don't know. I'm just not a super social guy, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of do my own thing, and I just do a lot of research before I do new things, and I don't know. I just like to try new things all the time. Social media is just not one of them.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
For whatever reason, I don't have an answer for that. So if you want to get in touch with me, you almost got to send me an email or put it in a magazine.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
One of the only people that opens a magazine.
I'm one of the only guys that still says, no, I want my media in a magazine.
Print, yes.
That's why it hasn't completely died, I guess. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Sean
I'm doing my part.
Single-handedly keeping print alive.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a very cool farm to tour or meet. Come up there and meet everyone sometime.
Absolutely. I wish I could have made it work during Farm Progress and gone down there and done it live. That'd have been a great time.
It's always better live, but I think this has been a pretty good
I had a great time.
Virtual show.
Yep.
So I had a great time, and I know I got stuff here that we haven't covered. I think definitely probably I think we could make some Farm for Profit episodes.
Hey,
not
maybe.
Just Farm for Fun episodes out of
We could do that. We could maybe figure out a way to get up and see him.
Yep. I think there's
that'd be great. We'd love to have you.
Small grains, there's the employee aspect and all that. That'd be kind of cool. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the last question we ask our guests when we close out an episode, and if you did your homework, you already know what it's going to be.
He probably didn't listen to the end.
He probably didn't go to the end. Yes. There's only 6 people.
Actually, I didn't listen to the end because I got interrupted and I had to leave, so I didn't get a chance to finish.
No cheating then. How do you juggle personal and work life?
Poorly. You know, I don't do it real well probably, but I guess what we've done, my wife and I, probably the best thing we did is we bought a place out in the Black Hills that gives us a chance to I have to get away, because otherwise I'm one of those guys that from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I'm working, right? Whether I'm sitting in my chair,
Yep.
I'm researching, I'm reading, I'm doing something. So, that's been a good one for us, but just enjoying the moment. I got, we didn't talk about it, but I got two daughters. One's a senior in high school and one's a sophomore in high school, both playing volleyball. So trying to get to most of that. The other thing that helps probably is, as we've grown our operation, we have employees. So we trying to be very family friendly. So, if people have places they need to be with family, that always comes first. Not that it's, makes it any easier to leave, right? I mean, I always feel guilty every time I leave, but there comes a point you just have to, you just got to get away from it. We live in a world where, we're connected at every moment. And so you can't just set the phone. It's not like it used to be 30 years ago. When you weren't in the house or in the office, you weren't connected. So you could just ignore it. Now you're connected all the time. It doesn't matter. Your phone starts beeping at 6 a.m. and it don't shut off until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And so I think it's just a matter of, there just comes a point where you just have to put it down. But I don't know. I always say I do it poorly because I struggle with that, because I love what I do. I am super passionate about my career and agriculture. And so it's really hard to just not do it, right? It's who I am.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's most farmers. And so I guess some of the most fun, with my family is just bring them into it, right? My daughters run the grain carts. My daughters help me on the farm, and that's my wife is heavily involved in the farm. So our entire family revolves around the farm.
Yep.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
That's why we started, when Tanner started that question, he used the word balance, and it's not. It is not a balance. That's why we use juggle, because some of it's not a 50-50 mix. But
it isn't.
Yeah. So.
No, it isn't.
Yep.
And but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm sure you guys agree that there's no better way to raise a family. I mean, it is just the life lessons that are learned are invaluable for kids. What I learned, what my kids learn, I think is invaluable, and you can't replace that with really anything else.
Well, I think you're spot on. Well, Shawn, this has been a pleasure. I'm glad that we were able to do this. I can't wait till we do the next one. I do think there will be another one.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I had a great time. Love to sit down and have a few beers with you guys.
That'd be good.
Do that. So that'd be great.
Next time we won't do it at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of that. I'm like, I'm not going to haul out beer now yet. It's just a little too early for that.
Yeah.
The employees go see you doing that. Like, oh, it's Friday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just had our safety meeting last week Thursday, so I can't haul out the beer just yet.
That's good. But no, thank you again. And Corey, what do you tell the listeners?
Crack a cold one. You deserve it.